Today I'm going to be making a recipe that my mother made quite frequently when we were growing up, and it was stuffed peppers. But I'm going to be putting a twist to the recipe and making it my own. The ingredients that you will use today are ground turkey, couscous, 2 onions that have been diced, 4 peppers that have been washed and cleaned out and the tops cut off, 1 can of undrained, unsalted diced tomatoes, 1 can of unsalted tomato sauce, 1.5 cups of chicken stock that's unsalted, and spices that you will need are 1/2 teaspoon of basil, 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, and 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground pepper. So let's get started. The first step in making the stuffed peppers are you'll need to put at least 4 tablespoons of olive oil in the bottom of a skillet. And then you will need to just slide your meat into your skillet and place your stove on medium-high. And you will be browning your turkey meat. It'll take about 10 to 15 minutes, and you want to make sure that you get the meat to at least 165 degrees internally. And once the meat is browned, we will be adding the onions and sauteing the onions with the meat. I've started browning the meat, and I've separated the meat so that it will brown evenly, and I'll let you see what it looks like here in a few minutes. My ground turkey has been browning, and the next step is you will see me add my onions to the skillet. And also, I have 3 stalks of celery that I have cut up. And now you will see me stir the onions and the celery into the ground turkey. And I'm going to be sauteing the vegetables for approximately 5 minutes, and I'm just going to keep stirring them around as you can see me doing right now. And then we will be adding our next ingredients. Okay, now what we're going to do is you will see me pour 1.5 cups of chicken stock into a pan, and a teaspoon of olive oil into the chicken stock, and I'm going to place 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder into the chicken stock, and approximately 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt into the chicken stock. I'm going to let it boil, and then I'm going to be adding my couscous to the chicken stock, because this is going to become the filler for the inside of the stuffed pepper. So once the chicken stock boils, I'm going to pour the couscous into the chicken stock, and I'm going to cover the pan and set it to the side, and it will absorb the chicken stock, and then I will fluff it with a fork. On the stove, you will see a stock pot that is getting ready to boil, we are going to be placing our peppers into boiling water, and we're going to let the peppers stay in the water for approximately 2 minutes, and then we are going to be taking the peppers out of the water using tongs. And this is a blanching process that I learned from my mother and grandmother, so that vegetables do not have to cook as long in the oven. So we're going to blanch our peppers, and you will see me, I'm placing, and you have to be very careful, I'm placing the peppers into the water, and I'm going to let them stay in the water for approximately 2 minutes, and I will be covering the pan, and I'll let you see what the peppers look like after I've taken them out using tongs. My chicken stock is boiling, so as you can see, I just poured my couscous into the bottom of the pan, and I'm just going to make sure that the chicken stock and the couscous are mixed. And I'm now taking it off of the burner so that it will be able to sit and absorb the chicken stock. And I'm getting ready to take the green peppers and the yellow pepper and the red peppers out of the water that I've blanched them in. And I will proceed to the next step in making stuffed peppers. The next step in making the stuffed peppers is I'm pouring the can of tomatoes into the pan, and I'm also taking the dry ingredients, which was basil, oregano, salt, and pepper, into the pan, and I'm adding the couscous into the pan, and you can either put the whole container of couscous into the pan, or you can choose to just put half of the couscous, which would probably be approximately 2 cups of couscous. And I'm choosing not to put the whole thing of couscous in, because I don't want to have too much filling left over. And I'm going to stir this together. For the filling. And a lot of the traditional stuffed peppers, you will see people making it with rice. But I like to mix things up a little bit and try different things to see how different mixtures would taste together. And this is a very, very nice dish to serve when you have company. And the mixture is ready for you to start placing inside your stuffed peppers. We are almost done. So what you're going to do next is I have the unsalted tomato sauce, and I have also made an extra container of spices that have a 1/2 teaspoon of basil and a 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, and also a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'm just going to add this to the tomato sauce, and I'm going to just mix it throughout. And I'm going to be placing a small coating of tomato sauce on the bottom of the pan, And I'm going to be putting I went ahead and I've added a small coat or layer of tomato sauce on the bottom of my pan, and I'm just going to be placing the stuffed peppers into the bottom of my baking dish. I have also preheated my oven to 350 degrees. And the next step that you will see me do is I have my filling over here to the side, and I'm going to just move my casserole dish closer, and I'm just going to stuff the pepper. And you can put as much as you choose in. I usually fill the pepper all the way to the top, and then once you have the pepper full, then you're going to take the remaining of your tomato sauce and you're going to put a little bit of tomato sauce on each one of the peppers on the top, and I'm going to be covering it with tinfoil and baking it in the oven at a preheat of 350 degrees, and I'm going to be cooking the peppers for 45 minutes. And we are almost done. And I'm just going to go ahead and top it off. And now you will see me pour sauce on the very top. And I know my mother would put cheese on the very top of her peppers once they came out of the oven. I've just taken the peppers out of the oven and they smell absolutely yummy. I'm going to transfer them to the plate so you can see the final product. I have just taken the stuffed peppers out of the oven and they look absolutely gorgeous. I'm looking at the peppers and I'm seeing the red, yellow, and the green, and they smell so good. And again, if you want to add more or less seasoning when you're cooking, make this recipe your own. Until next time, enjoy.